So I'm going to start with happiness. Before I even talk about purpose, happiness, 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 happiness. Who doesn't want to be happy? Right? Like, oh, and I think like the worst, I think this happiness is this weird, like under the ground, rooted, almost sometimes evil, uh, where it's like it's happiness is supposed to be happy, but this idea of happiness is really something that I don't know, people chase and never achieve and then end up feeling disappointed and let down. And by the way, achieving happiness isn't something you chase because it's usually right here. And if you're looking for it elsewhere, or if you think other people have more of it and you're chasing that, that is fundamentally going to leave you probably very disillusioned about what happiness is or what it means. Because you won't necessarily be happier because you have a nice car or because your kids are doing well. Yes, you will feel a contentment and a feeling of purpose probably. Oh, I've raised good children that are doing well in the world. But how are you going to feel if your kid turns out to be a drug addict, despite the fact that you parented this child very, very well? Or how are you going to feel if you've worked your whole life and went to college and educated yourself and became a good whatever, engineer, teacher, nurse, policeman, and all of a sudden you get laid off, or maybe your vacation vocation isn't as respected in the world as you'd like it to be despite your hard work. Then how are you going to feel? Are you still going to be happy? And what I'm trying to point at is that happiness is not an achievement, and it's certainly not a one and done. And this idea that you need to chase happiness by getting stuff is the thing that will actually lead to unhappiness, aka, as I mentioned in the quote, the gates of hell. Because if you decide as an entity unto yourself that you are the one who's in charge and in control and needs to do everything to create the space for you to be yourself, you've probably got a twisted sense of self-sufficiency versus power or autonomy. Because the truth is that if you can learn to be content with what is and with who you are, even your foibles, your darkness, your weaknesses, the mistakes you make, that's true happiness. Because the happiness is really, when you accept all the stuff that occurs at the surface, malaise, disease, sickness, loss, grief, darkness, depression, stress, anxiety, and you try to walk through those things as best you can, you try to treat and accept those things as best you can do this. You're building a strong river, and a river that will flow underneath of whatever's happening to you with certainty, right? And that's kind of the way I perceive a higher power, is there is a river maybe below me, but it also may be above me, and it's just flowing into me and flowing into me. And I'm not chasing happiness. Happiness is right here, always right here, even in the misery, even in the darkness of my thoughts, even in this heavy depression and anxiety of things like the pandemic and the losses and everything else that occurred and is occurring in our world, right? Because me deciding, I mean, even just think about this, me deciding that I'm going to make myself happy or make my kids happy or make my husband happy or make my employer happy is a shit show. And it's a dark hole that just keeps sucking down like those drain incinerators. Because you're fundamentally trying to fuel something that doesn't need your gas. It needs the gas and fuel of something bigger and greater than you and her or him or it. And that fuel comes from conscious contact, from creative consciousness, from this universal, like heavenly Father, Mother, God, thing being, natural, Mother Nature, whatever you, metaphysical, quantum physical, laws of being, laws of spirituality, laws of depth, laws of deep, 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 deep understanding, way above, below, beside, and around your capacity to think. And it's really, I just was so moved by that quote this morning. It's like, I decided at a young age that my purpose in life was to make myself happy. And all that ever did was lead me to understand what hell really is. Really, because hell, okay, fine, maybe you believe hell is something, where devils live and people burn. But the truth is hell is a state of constant anxiety, stress, and darkness right here on earth. I know people who live in hell every single day, and they have a lot of stuff. They're surrounded by stuff, and their kids don't talk to them. Nobody likes them. They're curmudgeonly, they're bitchy, they're constantly dissatisfied and complaining. And why is that? because they're not happy, because they're not contented, because every time they get, they just want something else. And I hope you're not one of those people. But if you are, there is a better way. There's a better way of depending on that depth and that river that's flowing above and below you. And that heavenly river is very natural, it's very being, and it's very steeped in metaphysical law, by the way, for you intellectuals who are like, I'm not going to subscribe to that fancy, stupid spiritual shit. That stupid spiritual shit is deep. And it's under the current of everything that's happening right now. And once you tap onto it, you can and will really know contentment and happiness, whether you have money and stuff or everyone around you is doing well or not. You will know peace of mind, and peace of mind is priceless. And that's what makes you really successful. There you go. Hope you're on the path to heaven today.